Hi, today's lesson is on To the End by Blur. Okay, in terms of chords, the basic chords in this song is quite easy. It's just most of the song is D to E minor, and then there's a G to A part. And there's one or two other chords in it, but there's not many actual chords, and the chords, if I just tell you the names of them, they're quite easy. But the way they play them, or the way Graham Coxon plays them, isn't necessarily that easy. So I'm just going to go through the shapes with you, and then the rhythms and the way he's actually picking the individual notes in some parts. Right, so the main sequence for the intro and the verse, or the verses and the bridge, and the ending, it's this very specific rhythm, very unusual rhythm, but it's what makes the song. And if I just show you the first couple of chords, and then we'll look at the rhythm in depth. It's basically D to E minor, but rather than this, we're using half bar chords. You may already know an F like that. Well, it's that shape, basically comes from the bar chord. It's that for a D, so you go all the way up to 10th position, and cover two strings, first two strings with your first finger at 10, second finger on the 11, third string, third finger on the 12, fourth string. We're not playing these two, so there's nothing on there. And that's D, which is major. When we go to E minor, if I was to just move that along 2 frets, that would be an E, also major. To make it minor, you take this finger away and make sure that finger's covering the third string as well as the second and first. So we've got 12, 12, 12, 14. I'll just play the chords so you can hear what they should sound like and check that yours sound the same. And for the D, we only need to be over 2 strings here, but because we're going to the E minor, it's probably easier to have that finger over 3 strings to begin with on this chord as well. So you've just got that barring over 3, and then for the D, and for the E minor, and you just lift that off. So they're the chords for the main sequence. And what happens in the intro and the verses is they do this sequence where the song's in 4/4, which most songs are, and 4/4 is just where you count in bars and you're counting 4 beats per bar. You might already know this. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just a way of dividing the music up. Most songs are in 4/4. But the main riff on this one, we've got the D chord for 1 bar of 4/4, and then we've got the D chord for 1 bar of 6/4. So that adds up to 10 beats, whereas you'd expect 2 bars to be 8 beats, 2 bars of 4. But it's actually a bar of 4 and a bar of 6, and that's really unusual to do that. What makes it even more complicated, a little bit more complicated, is the actual rhythm that he's playing. He's not just strumming through the chords. He's playing on very specific beats. Now, if you think of a bar of 4/4 as being 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, that's 4 complete beats. He's hitting the D chord like this and relaxing his fingers just afterwards. That's why it's stopped. Not this, but this. And he's doing that on beat 2, so it's 1 and 2. And also on the upbeat of 4, which means the and that's in between 3 and 4. It might sound a bit complicated, but it's basically this. You've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you play on the 2 and then the and before the 4 like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And you might have noticed then I played the first strum as a down and the next one as an up. So if I count up to 4 and then I'll play a couple of bars just of that D with that rhythm just so you can hear it. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Hopefully that makes sense. If you know the song, you'll know the sound anyway. So that's the first bar of 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the bar of 6/4, which comes straight afterwards, starts the same. You've got the down strum on beat 2, the up strum on the and before 4, so just like we just did. But then on the end, you've also got 5 and 6 and, because we've got 2 extra beats. So the bar of 6/4 is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. So you just got this extra bit on the end, and he plays another upstroke on the and between 5 and 6. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. Don't know how much sense that makes, but I'll just play it. I'll try and count at the same time. So this is 6/4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. And even if you know the song, it's still quite hard to get that because it's a little bit unnatural. To make it a bit harder, you've got to play the 4/4 bar followed by the 6/4 bar. Hopefully it makes sense. And then we move to E minor. Remember, move along, take that one away, and do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and. So now I'll play D, 4/4 and 6/4, E minor, 4/4 and 6/4, and then I'll repeat that. And what I'm about to play is actually the intro to the song. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's the intro. You might have noticed there that I was keeping this arm moving, and most strumming patterns and most rhythms work best when this arm keeps moving up and down. So I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1. It's really weird. You know, having 4/4 and then 6/4 is quite strange, but it's what makes the song so good, I think. So that's the intro. Right, now when you get to the verse, it starts off with one of the intro sequences. So the intro was that sequence twice. D, D, E minor, twice. The verse is just that sequence once. So it starts off like this: 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 1, and 2, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 4, and 5, and 6, and then it repeats, but misses out the first bar of E minor. So it's 4/4D, 6/4D, 6/4 E minor. So I'll just play that very slowly, that what I just said. So the D, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and. So you put that on the end of the standard sequence that we were doing for the intro. So I'll just demonstrate that. So this is the whole of the first verse. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then the pre-chorus, this is where it gets a bit more complicated to try to play exactly what Graham Coxon plays. That bit we just did for the verse and intro, even though it's a bit complicated and a bit confusing, once you've got it, it's not that hard to play. This next part, it's quite hard to pick out exactly what he's doing. I'm pretty certain I've got it, but as always, put in the comments if you think some of this isn't quite right, but it sounds good to me. So we go to a G6 and then an A6. And the shapes I think he's using are these. So those two shapes were exactly the same thing, but 2 frets apart. So for the G6, we have first finger on the first string at 3rd fret, 4th finger, 2nd string, 5th fret, 2nd finger, 3rd string, 4th fret, 3rd finger, 4th string, 5th fret, and then have your thumb over the top This is how Graham Coxon plays a lot of the time. Just getting that bass note there, 3rd fret on the E string. Now we don't want to hear this A string, so you can either get your thumb to touch it slightly from above, so it mutes it, or, and this is more what I would do, is I'd use the top of that finger just to touch it. Now you can hear that, but if I was strumming, you don't notice that sound, even though it's actually in there. So that's how I would do it. And just strum that once, let it ring for a whole bar. We're into just 4/4 now for this section. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then move along to exactly the same chord shape, and this becomes an A6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the G6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the A6, this is a little bit more difficult to actually play. What he does is he strums it once, then picks the 1st string followed by the 2nd string like this. And as soon as he's done that, he's preparing for the chorus, which is based on a D chord, an open D chord. And he's quickly jumping down here to the D sort of position, or basically a D chord, and playing 3rd string, 2nd string, 4th string, like this. So after the A6 has been strummed for that 2nd time, you go. And that's hard to get. It's hard to make it sound like the song. And that leads directly into the chorus. So I'll just try to play that pre-chorus for you, just so you can see how it works. So that was the pre-chorus. Sounds weird stopping there, but it's because it leads straight into the chorus. Right, so the chorus, remember we were here because we just jumped down from the A6 to the D position. At the end of the pre-chorus I really only had 2 fingers on because they were the ones I needed. But then 2nd finger wants to add on, so it's a standard D, and also your little finger plays the 3rd fret of the 1st string. It's called a D sus4, you may know that chord. So end of the pre-chorus, we're here like this, and we've just played this, and then you put those 2 on to form the D sus4. Obviously this one's not actually doing anything at the moment because that finger's in front of it, so that makes no difference. It's just there ready. And then the chorus part is this. We play 1st string, 3rd string, take the little finger away, play 1st string, 3rd string again, take the 2nd finger away, which is D sus2, and 1st string, 2nd string, like this. That was about the speed. And then we go to an E chord, but again he's not really playing a standard full E chord shape, I don't think anyway. I think he's just doing that, which is part of the E chord. And what you've got to do is pick the strings in this order. You play the 3rd string, then the 1st string, then the 4th string, like this. And then add 3rd finger onto this A note, which is 3rd string, 2nd fret. Pick that note, pick the open 2nd string, and add your little finger to get this note, which is a 7. It turns the E into an E7. So I'll just put all of that together on this E chord. So it's so I'll play that with the D part that went beforehand. And then we go to what's really a G add 9 chord, which is this. It's like the G6 we did earlier, but these 2 fingers swap strings like that. So that. Now I think he's probably holding that shape, but he's only picking the first 2 strings, so he could do that like this or like that. So for the purpose of showing you what the notes are, I'm just going to play it just like this to begin with, but bear in mind he's probably holding the full shape, but you don't need to, you could just play these two. So I've got my little finger on the 5 on the first string, first finger, index finger on the 3 of the second string, and then play the first string twice followed by the second string once. You play the first string again and slide the shape along to. So that's, and then from there we turn this into an A chord. And again, I think if he's holding the G add 9 like that, I think he's probably going to an A like this. The shape that we did for the D chord up there at the beginning. But again, you don't need to hold the whole chord down. So after this, then flatten this finger down so it's over the first two strings at 5th, and play the first string, which is the 5, then put your third finger on the third string at 7, play that, take that away and put the second finger on the 6, let that ring and play the first string, which is the 5. So from that previous part it was I suspect, as I said, he's holding bigger chords and just picking out individual notes from within them, but this is how you can get the sound of the song, just by playing these individual notes. And something to point out, there's a tiny little variation on the second chorus, which is when he does the slide up, before playing this 5, he plays the 7 and pulls off to the 5. So he goes, and then at the end of the first chorus, after that part I just did, that rings, but there's a bar where you don't play anything, that's just ringing. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're straight into the bridge. Right, so I'll just demonstrate the whole chorus for you quite slowly. Okay, the bridge is just the intro sequence once. So I'll just play it to clarify what that is. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Just that. Okay, so after you've repeated the verse and the pre-chorus, on the second chorus, apart from that little pull off on the 7 to 5 that I mentioned, it's the same. But on the end, instead of having a bar where you're pausing after doing this, 1, 2, 3, 4, you don't have that bar pause. It just goes, then it's into something else. And the something else is the repeat of the pre-chorus. So I'll just play the end of that chorus and then the beginning of the pre-chorus just to show what I mean. So you can see there I went straight into the beginning of the pre-chorus, the G6 to the A6. And you repeat the pre-chorus exactly the same as before, and then repeat the chorus the same as before, but it's like the second chorus where you don't have the bar pause at the end. So it doesn't have that 4 beats where you're not playing anything that we did on the first chorus. So we don't do that. And then you're straight into kind of a middle 8, but it's not really a middle 8 because it's not different to the verse. What it is an instrumental verse. So it's exactly the same as a verse, but there's no singing. And then we repeat the pre-chorus and the first chorus, so the one that does have the pause. So that's instrumental verse, pre-chorus, then the chorus that we did to begin with where we had the pause at the end after doing this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're into the ending. Now the end section is really nice. It's like the intro where you're playing between the bar of 4/4 and 6/4, but it's just the D chord. So it doesn't go to the E minor, it just stays on the D chord and just goes between 4-4-6-4, 4-4-6-4 and so on, and it does that several times and fades out. So I'll just I'll play that like 3 times just to demonstrate that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And just keeps doing that and fades out. That's everything in the song. It's all the guitar parts, all that I could pick out anyway. It was certainly the main guitar part. There might be a few overdubs that have got an effect on that kind of blurs, no pun intended, the sound. But the main guitar part is what I'm showing you today. Any questions, please put them in the comments. And if you'd like to see any other Blur lessons or anything else, then let me know and I'll see what I can do. And if you like this one, click like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks.